Hey there, and welcome to this week's Sunday Musings, where every week I spend a little time and talk about something that's been on my mind. And on the last Sunday of each month, I have a book review. If you're interested in further information and more thoughts on each of these topics, please feel free to also check out my written blog. You can find the link right here. So let's start. This week, I want to talk about a book about networking. Specifically, networking for people who hate networking. Now, you may not be aware, but I am an introvert, and I have historically loathed going to an event for the express purpose of having small talk and chit chat and exchanging business cards so that I can say that I've networked. But I also belong to several nonprofits where I work on the boards, I'm in sales, and generally in my career as a whole, I have depended on being able to network in order to further my career and in order to have meaningful relationships that will allow me to grow and get better at what I do. Additionally, I find great satisfaction in working with younger or less experienced people as a mentor and helping them grow, which selfishly in turn helps me grow as a person as well. So I've really been trying to figure out the best way to network. And I've struggled. Honestly, walking into a room full of strangers where all I have is a job of network, it's a very ambiguous job, I get anxious, my heart races, and I guess I'd probably rather have a root canal. If you're listening to this, you might be one of those people. I've got colleagues and friends who think that that is the most amazing thing ever, to walk into a room and shake hands and hug and kiss and talk to people. They've never met a stranger, and they're really, truly invigorated by this. I am not. But what I've noticed over the years is if I am doing a fundraiser or a nonprofit and I have a job, a task, I can go out and be charming and talk to people because I specifically spend time and think about who I want to speak with, what I want to say, and what my specific objectives are. And so that led me to think that maybe, just maybe, I could network. When I saw this book, first of all, the title just made me giggle. I mean, penguins, people who hate networking. It's truly a field guide for the introverted, the overwhelmed, and the underconnected. And let's be realistic, how many of us are truly connected and have meaningful relationships to enough people? Not just quick, hi, how are yous, but meaningful relationships where we can discuss something. I know I don't. I don't know that I ever will. But what I do know that if I go into something with a specific goal and a specific objective, I find it easier. So when I started reading this book, I really actually enjoyed it. It's well written, it's lighthearted, there's quips, and there's some really great notes from the field. There's some tricks and tips, and it's really about putting some structure to this so that it's not just this ambiguous, amorphous process. Everybody will take a little bit different out of this book, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the specific details, but Dvorak is incredible, and I've now listened to this book on tape. I have it on my Kindle for when I travel, and I read it. And every time I read it, either in whole or just flip to a section, I learn something new. Just as much about some tricks and tips as I do about myself. Dvorak truly seems to understand that there are basically three kinds of people in this world: introverts, extroverts, and what he's dubbed as centroverts. Centroverts might be, an introvert some days, an extrovert other days in certain situations, but overall, they sort of run down the middle. And even though after an evening of reaching out and making connections and networking with people and having conversations, I'm exhausted and it takes a lot out of me. And I want nothing more than to curl up with a book in a room by myself, probably with a glass of wine, just to relax and regroup and re-energize. The act of networking itself becomes less and less of a dreaded trip to the dentist for a root canal with no medication, and more of something that I actually look forward to. I will probably never be good at inane chit chat, but I am getting better at focusing on one or two people at an event and spending time getting to know them. In fact, on the groups that I am on the board for nonprofits and we host events, I like to try to reach out to the person that I see sitting alone in the corner or against the wall and just try and make them feel welcome with some genuine questions and an invitation to join in, because that is meaningful and there's an agenda of bringing people together. I would love to hear your thoughts on networking. If you've read this book, or if there's any other book out there that you think is pretty valuable, and sort of your own personal tips and tricks. Do you love networking and it is the most amazing thing ever? I'd love to hear your stories. Do you dread it? Let's talk. You can always reach out to me. There's a link to book a meeting with me. And other than that, have a great rest of your weekend. And I'll see you next week.